So let's go. We did the demo and exercise. Now, we're going to get into the third distinction for today, which is the disc profile. This one, unfortunately, for some strange reason, is not as famous as Myers-Briggs. But I will tell you, it is amazing. And in my mind, for the workplace, it is better. Now, this is going to take, this is about 30 minutes worth of content. It's going to be a lot. Remember, you have notes. And we're going to make it fun. One of my buddies gave me some pictures. He actually works for DISC and he's a presenter. And honestly, he seems so quiet and humble. He's one of the funniest people you ever meet. If there's ever a reason, I'll bring him with me someday. He took some pictures which he's letting me use. These are great. This is going to help you break down for business who someone is and why they do what they do. And you're going to notice things as I'm talking about this in yourself. You're going to notice things in your spouse or partner. You're going to notice things in people you work with. So, DISC breaks people down into 4 categories. Again, we're all full human beings. We all have all of this stuff. But in the DISC profile, generally, one of our traits is most dominant, and then the other is a secondary trait, and then 2 are lower. You'll see this in a second. What does this mean? Just as an example, people that are high Ds are scoring high in dominance and drive. So this is, their main drive is getting things done, making things happen, getting to a result, getting the point. And they can seem commanding and they can seem very abrupt. Right? Their main drive is to command. Hi, Ryan. Dude, good to see you and your tattooed self, man. Jennifer, welcome to the company. Only been here a month? Be a year before you know it. Time flies. It's so much fun to work here. Hi, let's connect. She's frowning at me. She doesn't want to connect. There we go. Okay. Right? These are her eyes. Love to socialize. Literally, truly may have met some of their best friends in the supermarket checkout line. They can seem very friendly or very high I. They can be overwhelming. Right? Now, is one of these better than the other? No. Ds sometimes can put people off because they're too abrupt. I's, unchecked by someone like a supervisor who's a D, can talk and talk and talk and never actually what with the deal? Close. Oh, I've been talking to him for 6 months. He's the greatest guy. You gonna close him? Right? Natasha, is that a laughter of recognition?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. And by the way, this is important to know. I'll give you a perfect example. There's a company I work with. The only other thing I can share with you is the resort company. The guy who started it is an incredible human being, one of the nicest people I know, very smart, very driven. Literally came over to this country as an immigrant, was washing dishes and listening to personal development cassette tapes on his Walkman. Now owns one of the largest resort companies in Mammoth. Gets all these people with, incredible. Gets all these people that are wealthy and they have second homes. And then they want someone in there when they're not there. So he takes charge of it and makes sure it's full, and it also becomes an income-producing property. Now, he was having a bit of trouble with the owners. Because the owners are very successful, right? Because they can obviously afford these homes. Successful people like to be deferred to sometimes. How many of you have noticed that very successful people sometimes have a little bit of an ego? Who's seen it? Right. And my client would go like, great, let's meet. Okay, 3-bedroom. Right. Perfect. I'll get it rented out for you. You can expect 60% of the time to be full. Here's the projection. So do we have a deal? And some people loved it and they were fine. Like, you gave me the numbers. Those are numbers. I've heard good things about you. But a lot of people were like, hey, where's my cup of coffee? Where's my kiss? So part of what I worked on with him was delegating things. And I said, actually, you shouldn't even be talking to these guys. Not because you're not good at it. You built a whole company. But you're supposed to be building the company, not running the company. So he promoted a lady that works in his office to be his right-hand person. She loved it, took it as a compliment, and he admitted within 2 months, he goes, she's so much better with these clients than I am. Sales have gone way up. Why? Because they come in and it's like, Eric, good to see you again. Look, before we talk, you want coffee and chocolate chip or coffee and a Danish? And all of a sudden she had a little more of the I. So in that particular role, she was more useful. Does that make sense? Now, having said that, she never could have built the company he did because it takes her a long time to make decisions. She doesn't want people to get mad at her. You know, eyes are often afraid of losing approval. So, which is why they don't close sometimes unless pushed. Okay? S, and the reason I'm mentioning that is just say everybody has value in an organization. There is no better way. A lot of people look at D and they think D's the best one. Nope, it's just one way to be. Okay? S, main drive is to make sure everything is okay. F's love harmony. They tend to be calm. They tend to be very non-demonstrative. A lot of accountants, architects, people in technical professions tend to be high S's. I just did a wonderful talk for a group of engineers. Now, if I didn't have this distinction, I would have been on stage thinking I was dying. You know, usually I get lots of energy and feedback, and this was about 100 guys. It was a big association. And on a lot of the jokes I told, it was like, ah. Applause was like, you know, this was a big deal. Oh. Right. Have anybody ever had a client like this? Who says, right. It doesn't mean they're not interested. S's will not demonstrate emotion with you until they are super comfortable with you. They need to really feel a lot of rapport, or else they have that social mask on. C, main drive is to make sure things are done right. They make great insurance underwriters, mortgage underwriters, administrative assistants, human resources people. Any job that you guys would hate, they would probably love. They're the people who love dotting I's and crossing T's. They love because in their thing, rules make them happy because they keep them safe.
IRS auditors.
IRS auditors, for example. Yes, thank God I don't have personal experience with that one yet because I've heard it's awful. Having said it, so I'll give you, before we get into this, I'll give you a quick story. Years ago, I dated the most wonderful girl. I put on a record. She's married now. Her name's Heather Powell, but it was Heather Dean. She was the human resource director for Tony Robbins. One of the sweetest, nicest, greatest people ever. If I was a better guy, she might have ended up with me. But no, I'm kidding. We went to Target very early in the morning on a Saturday because we had to get something before we went on a trip. Now, I am a D-I. High D, high I. I love people and I love doing. She is an SC. She's very calm, unless there's a reason not to be, or she knows you really well, and she knows the right way to do things. And I, doing this on purpose to mess with her, we drove in the parking lot. Now, early in the morning, how many cars are in the parking lot? None, except for the workers, which are all on one side. So I went in the entrance, and here's the door, and here's all these white lines. So I drove diagonally across the paint. Now the parking lot's empty. No reason I can't do this. What do you think she did? She, you know how if you do something like and someone grabs the handle? I was going 15 miles an hour. She's grabbing the passenger handle. And I can do it. And I look at her and she goes, I know what you're doing. I went to your training. You're messing with me. And I said, honey, what do you mean? And she goes, you know you're supposed to do it the right way. You're supposed to go in that entrance, you drive straight, and then you get to the end and you go right. And I said, but honey, there's nobody else in the parking lot. The lines don't matter when there's nobody else. For I's, rules are flexible. For C's, rules are God. Right? She goes, but what if someone came in from the other entrance and they were driving diagonally too, and they were talking to your girlfriend and they weren't watching what they were doing? You could get in an accident. Honey, I have a 360-degree view. I can see it somewhere. Whoa, but you're not paying attention. I'm like, yes, because you're talking to me. But it was all good fun because I could push that hot button of hers, right? I was correct in the fact that it really didn't make a difference. She was correct in the fact there was a reason the rules were there, to keep everybody safe. Yes?
I just want to know why you spend that much time messing with your girlfriends.
Why not? It's entertaining. So, let's go to this. So, to give you what's very important, I want to give you a VP I work with. One quick story and then we'll dive deeply into this. Why is this useful? Well, for a perfect example, you can think people hate you when they don't if you don't have this distinction. You can think that you're screwing up when you're doing well if you don't have this distinction. The best example of this was a guy named Joe that I worked with. He was a VP of sales at a company that I was working with for a while. And Joe was high D, like way high D. Like this is how Joe answered the phone. Joe, go. Right, you know these people? Go. Now, Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm sitting there, and I walk into his office, and people are so intimidated by this guy. And he's a good guy. Like, you gotta understand, he had 2 boxers. He just had his first kid. He's great to his wife. Like, you see pictures of him with his dogs. He's got his face, like, right in that dog. You know, if you look on his Facebook page, he's not a mean guy. But he intimidated the hell out of people because every time someone called him, they felt like they had what? Interrupted him, or bothered him, or disturbed him. Right? Now, I happen to know he's a high D. He's not a jerk because I can see this is how he communicates, but this is how he lives his life. So I would call him up, and he would go, Joe, go. And I would go, Joe, Mike, I got 2 questions. It's going to take 3 minutes. You ready? And he was in heaven. He was in heaven. In fact, he would often give me 10 minutes.
Hold on.
What? Do you want to touch? Because the biggest thing that D's are worried about is getting their time wasted. They got stuff to do. They want to get it done. You need to get to a point. There's a place we have to get to. And why did you call me if you're not ready? Why didn't you get ready first and then call me? What do you mean you have to pull it up on your computer? What do you mean you don't have the paperwork in front of you? You called me to talk about it, right? So, and often, because his fears were early, right? I told him what I'm going to do. I'm on the phone with you now. This is how many questions I have. This is how many minutes it's going to take. So he could, what? Relax.
Present with you.
And be present. Because he's like, oh good, this isn't going to be this long wandering conversation. And he would often give me way more time. We'd end up talking for 10 minutes. Because I understood he was a D, he wasn't angry at me. Right? That's why this is such an important distinction to have. So, let's have some fun with this. As I go through this, ask you, do you recognize this in yourself, in your coworkers, in your peer group, or in your family? And, so first off, here we go with Tom Technical. This is my buddy that works for DISC. And these pictures are great. Tom Technical. Tom is great. Tom is sitting there, and Tom's desk is neat. You will notice that Tom has this over here, and this over here, and his hand's here, and everything's good, and his hair is clean, and his tie is just where it's supposed to be, right in the middle of the thing, and he loves going over the numbers. Tom Technical. He is a high what? C. Right? He's there to help you. What can I tell you? What can I make clear for you? What can I do for you? How can I give you a report? Come on. Tom Technical. Right? Then you got Joe Bag of Donuts. Joe's a great guy. Everybody loves Joe. I could have picked any guy, but I picked the one with a happy face. Hey, you want donuts? I got donuts. You want to borrow a book? Hey, my desk is a little messy, but I don't have time for that stuff because I want to focus on you. Because I'm Joe. I want to make you happy. Nothing's a big deal. Right. Who knows Joe? Right. Hi. Huge eye, right? Then you got Bill Bottom Line. Look, come in. What do you mean put the phone down? I can have 2 conversations at once. What am I, an idiot? No, get in here. Hold on. Get in here. Yeah, Bill, what? Well, what do you mean you need 5 minutes? Just tell me in 30 seconds. Go. Hold on. Go. Right? This is Bill Bottom Line, right? Like, what? Is there something we need to talk about? No. Why are you here then? Oh, well, I like you too. Great, yeah. I haven't decided if I'm going to be at the party. Can I finish my... Go. Okay. Right. Who knows this person?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And steady Eddie. Hey, Eddie's going to take care of you. Notice, he's not as much of a mess as Joe Bag of Donuts. It's not a perfectly neat desk. I mean, you've got a coffee cup on there. But hey, come and sit. You can relax. We can have some coffee together. What do we need to take care of for you? Steady is all about harmony. Oh, yeah, you want to dump this story on me about how much you don't like somebody you're working with? We'll work it out. I'm steady. We're going to make a team. Who knows this person? Right. So this is steady. And you'll even hear it when they answer the phone. Like, if someone's a very high S or a C, they tend to be a little more fearful when they answer the phone because they don't know. Something happened. This box made a noise, and I don't know who I'm going to have an interaction with someone. Right? And so they pick up the phone, and it'll be like, hello? I mean, why are you answering like it's a question? You saw my caller ID, you saw my name. What? No, hello? What's going to happen next? Right? Whereas you get a high D, yes, or a high I. How you doing? Right? They'll even answer the phone differently. Does that make sense? Now, why is this important to know? So here's your four guys: Bill Bottom Line, Joe Bag of Donuts, Tom Technical, and Steady Eddie.
How old are those pictures?
Well, they were meant to be old.
Okay.
But,
Like the 80s piece.
No. They're meant to be old for effect. He's a character, this guy. Why is it? Because they're driven by different things, and the things they're driven by cause them to make decisions in a certain way. So if someone's a high D, if they're at their highest level D, like 100% D, they're demanding, driving, forceful, daring, right? Someone's a high I, they're gregarious, persuasive, inspiring, enthusiastic. High S, patient, predictable, passive, complacent, stable. High C's, cautious, perfectionistic, systemic, careful, analytical, orderly. Now, can you see again, all these are useful in an organization. There is no good one to be. They just have their place. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, why is that important? Because if we look at, by the way, people have two styles, natural and adapted. Natural is how you are if you're just in your backyard living your life. Adapted is if you're in any situation that requires a lot of focus or has a bit of stress attached to it. Like, people will have a slightly different personality they do at work than they do at home. That's why everybody says, oh my God, you know, I never related to such and such a person until I went to their Christmas party at their house and they saw that side of them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Right. So you're going to have natural and adapted styles. Natural style is how you behave at home. Adapted is how you behave when you're focused or under stress. So let's take a look at this. Oh.
Totally do.
Can we even see this up here? Sorry.
No.
We got the slides.
That's all right.
What does it
You got
say?
the slides. Why is it coming off as yellow?
It's red.
Oh, because it's red. So what it says on your slide is high D tendencies. High ego strength, impatient, they want change, they fear being taken advantage of, and they want direct answers. Would that be useful to know if you're putting together a presentation, yes or no?
Okay.
Oh yeah. You go into a high D and you start launching into stories, they better be short stories. Right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with telling stories, but you better get to the point of that story. Right? And if you show them graphics, you better tell them why they're looking at it.
Right.
Now, oh, here we have this nice graphic and it's a chart of our, no. It'd be more like, Ryan, I'm going to show you something that's going to tell you exactly how much you can expect to grow the company if you use our product within 6 months. Boom, look. Right? This is the point. There's a point to what I'm about to show you. Here's what the point is. Now let's look at it. Right? Boom. Whereas a high I, you might go, hey, you really want to see how big you could grow this company? I mean, hey, if we could grow this company 30% in 6 months, what would you do with the extra money? Addition on the house for the baby? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got a chart. You want to have a quick check over chart? I've got a chart that will project exactly how we can do that. And I've got a great story about how I just did this for a client. Would you look at it with me? Mm-hmm. Right? That's an I. Very different though, right? Now, there's no way I would present to Ryan the same way I would present to Natasha. I mean, and by the way, neither of their styles is better than the other. But can you see that if I'm sitting with him, he's gonna, if I really want him to like me individually,